All right, I'm back again. Uh, I should have pressed the record button like fucking 10 minutes ago. But I don't know. Sometimes I get a little option paralysis. I think it's like 5 in the morning, like 5:20. It's really early. I've been up for like 5 hours. I like went to bed at 8 cuz I was really tired and woke up at 12 and I just have not been able to well, I think once I woke up at 12, I knew I wasn't going to fall back asleep. And I'm definitely listening to music. But what music? I'm not saying. Um, I guess I just don't want to get caught up on the whole music thing today. I'm just like, it's just in the background and I'm just in my room and it's kind of hot as hell. Well, no, it's not hot as hell. I just had the AC on for like the whole night, but I had to turn it off because it was too loud and it was kind of fucking up my audio a bit. But yeah, I've been up for a while and I was listening to the news or listening to this news called NTD and well, actually I was listening to this channel called America Uncovered. It's a really good channel. It's on YouTube and they give really good news. It's none of that left versus right divisive bullshit. It's really good stuff. Same with NTD. From what I've seen, they've been pretty good. They haven't been with the whole left versus right bullshit. But a word came up because America Uncovered. They were talking about TikTok and the whole China thing, and I think at some point the word Falun Gong. Okay, now I gotta make sure I'm saying this right, and I gotta get it wrong. Um, or at least I want to be able to spell it or something. But this Falun Gong movement, I think it's called, and I never understood what it was, and I mean I don't even really understand it completely now. It's some kind of movement in China. Uh, Falun Gong, I think Falun Falungong. Yeah, that movement. But I never knew what it was. But I've always been like, why does the Chinese Communist Party hate them so badly? Like what's I'm pretty sure if the Chinese Communist Party hates them, they're probably good people. uh, but yeah, they seem like a good group of people. They just have this movement and I stumbled upon a video of I think it's a Fox News video. And oh, please don't hit me with some political bullshit for having a news source, a different news source. But yeah, they talked about this organization and they mentioned how the Chinese Communist Party brutalized them and was beating them and had a lot of them thrown in jail because they see them as a threat. And in this video, they show like some of the prisoners, and they it reminds me of the Holocaust because these guys are obviously malnourished. They're being starved in this labor camp, and they've got lesions on their skin. They're just, people. There's videos of people crying over their loved ones because they've been beaten, half to death, and they're in a coma, or their loved one was taken away and put in that prison and killed, and they can't even get the remains of the person who died. It was a lady's sister, and man, maybe, I'm always thinking about, honestly, I'm always thinking about China and North Korea and, like the Congo, just people in the world who are less fortunate than myself. Um, People in parts of the world where, 1,000 people can get murdered or genocide can happen and it doesn't even show up on the news here in America. But, or it barely shows up on the news or, or they talk about that for 10 minutes and then they talk about celebrity gossip for another 30 minutes. You know, bullshit like that I just don't understand. And it made me start thinking, man. I was thinking about this time in college where it was a microeconomics class and we were discussing China and this was like at this point almost a decade ago, maybe 7 8 years ago. But yeah, we were talking about China and whatnot, and how the trade policies were unfair. Like they're making goods that Americans could buy, but the goods that Americans were able to produce, they couldn't afford to buy. So the trade wasn't necessarily fair. Excuse me. But yeah, in this class, I think the professor comes up with the idea or says, what needs to happen is manufacturing needs to move back to America. And I asked the professor, what does that mean for those, or what happens to those people in China that are making those goods? Their jobs are gone, so what happens to them? And I just remember this kind of silence reflecting off the wall, so to speak. Just this kind of quietness. And I hope I don't come off as self righteous because I'm definitely not. A I can be an asshole sometimes. I definitely am an asshole sometimes. I'm not perfect. I'm human. I'm very fucking disagreeable. Uh, a lot of the times as a person, just especially when I'm arguing with somebody. I'm far from perfect. Uh, but I said that. I said that. Hey, what happens to those people in China? And it almost seemed like nobody had thought of that. Like nobody thought about the other side of that, about what happens to people in other countries when we make a change that's of course maybe better for ourselves, but what happens to those other people on the other side of this issue? Because I don't think the Chinese people making those goods should starve. I don't think that's fair to them. And also speaking of those labor camps, the Falun Gong were forced to make goods for to be exported all around the country. I looked at my mic because I was thinking, man, what kind of stuff do I have in here? Well, it's not a mic; it's an audio box. So I looked at my audio box and I wondered where it was made at, because I was wondering, how much of the problem am I too? Because if they're forcing these people to work in a prison camp and they're starving them to death, then, and I'm buying those goods that they're making, I'm supporting, not like I'm all for it, not like I want that to happen to those people. I don't think they deserve that at all. That's really fucked up. But yeah, I look at my audio box and it says manufactured in PRC. And I was like, People's Republic of the Congo. And I was really hoping that that was in China, I was thinking, hey, maybe that's just some small little country out there in the world that I don't even know the name of. But I Googled it, looked it up, and PRC is People's Republic of China. And I wonder, who made this audio box that I'm using to record this podcast? Were they just, were they starving? Were they just on the verge of becoming a pile of bones? Did they get killed after they made this? I don't know. And I don't. It's shit. I gotta actually talk and make words come out of my mouth. I just hard to look at that and that video and know that those people are out there suffering somewhere in the world. Well, not somewhere in the world, in China, somewhere in China, and I'm supporting it. I'm a part of the problem, and it's not like I signed up for it. It's not like I really chose to, but at the same time, maybe this is a good that was made by somebody who was working in another factory and they weren't necessarily starving to death, but it's still China, and that person probably would be much happier doing something else. But like, if I didn't buy this mic, or I mean, I didn't even buy it myself, somebody else bought it, uh, or I should just say, same bought it. Obviously, he didn't know it was from China, or he didn't know. We buy so much shit. There's probably a fuck ton of stuff in this room that's from China, that's made by slave labor. But it's just participating in something evil unwittingly, or now I guess I should say wittingly, because I know now. But like, I don't see what other real choices I have. If this was the cheapest thing to buy, like, how do I fight against that? But anyhow, I don't know. Going back to that microeconomics class, you know, saying, hey, what happens to those people in China? And I don't remember if I don't quite remember his answer, but it was something to the effect of, well, hey, some people are going to die. Some people over there are going to starve. It's going to be bad for them. And it gets me thinking, like, obviously there's a lot of evil in this world. There's a lot of evil in America. There's evil everywhere. And it's getting increasingly difficult to find the opposite of evil, to find the good, because it seems even the good is laced with evil. And there's an abundance of evil in this world that I don't even think has to be there. There's more than enough stuff here in this world for everybody. All fucking 7 billion of us now, or 8 billion, I can't even remember. Things don't have to be as fucked up as they are. But I wonder, like, why are things this way? And I also wonder, what can I do to change them? I'm just one in 8 billion, or 1 in 7 billion. I think it's seven. One in 7 billion. I mean, I just look at the analytics of this podcast before I started recording, and like, I, I mean, there's 7 billion people, and I've recorded like what, maybe six podcasts already, and maybe besides myself and the other people who listen to the podcast that are in the podcast or in the under the Azuzu Rodeo thing. I mean, besides him, I don't think anybody I don't know has heard this podcast. And that's not a negative to me. I mean, it is kind of a negative because it's I guess I shouldn't say it's a negative, or it's not a negative or a positive. It's just a thing to me. It doesn't really bother me. Cause my at least one of my friends I know listens to my podcast and he likes it, and that's neat. I like that. But I'm 1 in 7 billion. Despite there being 7 billion people, nobody's heard this podcast. There's so many of us, and nobody's heard this. And I'm not. Again, it's not about people listening to this podcast. I think I've made it clear what constitutes a success for me for this podcast. Just somebody in the future hears it and they know that this is what one person felt, or one person's perspective in the world at a time. Whatever, whenever they view it, could be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 100, 1,000. Well, if we lapse that fucking long, but it's just, man, it's in terms of numbers, it's just odd. There's so many of us, but you can throw something out there in the world and or on the internet, and it can end up never being seen. Just forgotten. And I don't have an issue with that, really. I kind of like if I'm saying this word right, the anonymity. I'm pretty sure I said that wrong. I like the anonymousness of it, if that's a word. I like the fact that I'm just one of 7 billion. There's no huge amount of pressure on me. It's not like Joe Rogan's podcast. I feel kind of sorry for him sometimes. I'm happy that he's taking it on head first, but I'm like, man, that's a lot of responsibility, a lot of pressure for one person to have to deal with, having so many eyes on you, so having so many listeners. But I mean, from my perspective, he's doing a wonderful job, and I'm really happy that he continues to do his thing. But yeah, I don't know. I don't even remember where I was going with all this. I just think about all that suffering in China, man, and just all over the world. But I guess I specifically fixate on Asia and China specifically because when I grew up, or when I was a child, I used to watch Jackie Chan movies and Bruce Lee movies, and I run around the house, trying to do karate, because Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan, oh, those guys were my heroes. And I wanted to be Chinese so fucking bad as a kid. In my 6-year old mind, I thought that when I grew up, I was gonna put some white paint on and grow a different kind of mustache and learn karate, and I was gonna be Chinese. As bizarre as that sounds, I was a child. I didn't know that things didn't work like that. I thought I was gonna be able to turn myself Chinese, but it doesn't work like that. So to kind of learn a little bit about Chinese culture, to to learn a bit about China and see that there's this kind of suffering going on there is uh it's a bit sad. Well, not a bit sad. It's tremendously sad. And honestly, I think everybody should be a bit sad. It feels, and maybe this is not the right thing to say. I don't want to make people, feel like they should be depressed, but I think we should all be a little bit sad about the suffering in the world. I think I mean, if you know about it, if you're aware of it, if you're aware of some of the suffering in the world, some of the suffering that's out there, I think we should all be a bit sad. Maybe if we were a bit sad, maybe we would care a bit more and try to change things. And maybe that's what I need to do is try to find a way to change things a bit. Hell, I'm just 1 in 7 billion. What the fuck can it hurt, right? Uh, I just man, I speak so fucking slow. But honestly, it's just so fucked up, so dark. And I'm lucky. And despite the fact that I may, be angry about shit going on in my own country, I'm pretty sure I've constantly said by now, and I think I'll stop saying that, you know, that I realize that shit is much worse in other places. But I feel like you should be able to talk about both. You should be able to talk about what's fucked up in your own country and what's fucked up in better places or safer places or more free places. And you should also be able to talk about the places that are really fucked up. Like I said, shout out to Russia and China in the last podcast I recorded. And like shout out to the people there, not shout out to their governments. Because as I'm quickly coming to understand, it seems like the word government is synonymous with evil sometimes. But I've worked for the government before, and I wasn't evil. So this shit is even more complicated. The people I worked alongside of, most of them weren't evil. so it's so I'm pretty sure it's hard to lead. It's hard to lead 7 billion people. It's hard to leave. It's hard to lead 1 million people. Hell, it's fucking hard to lead your own children. So I'm sure leading is a difficult job. But what I don't understand is the corruption, the disdain for human life. There's so fucking much here on this planet for all of us. And things have, I want to say, but I don't know for sure. But, it seems like society, at least in America, is not nearly as violent as it once was. Things to some degree have gotten better here. I don't really know about the rest of the world, though. My education system here has honestly felt me and felt lots of my peers as well. And that's funny because I'll just say one of the best schools in the country. In fact, the time that I went there, it was one of, like, the best school in the country. But still, I feel failed, and some of that is my own fault. But an overwhelming majority of it, I don't think it's my fault because it seems to have failed a lot more people than just myself, and I think that was by design. I think there are people out there who want control and power, who are relentless, and they're willing to destroy anything and everyone to have their way. And those people at the top, those powerful people who commit all this genocide and commit all this evil, I often wonder, why did they make it to the top? But the more I think about it, maybe it makes sense. Maybe it's because they're those type of people who look for power. Maybe that's why they're at the top. Maybe a lot of the good people, a lot of the good men and women out there just want to live their fucking lives. They just want to be free. They want to be free. They want to be happy. They don't want power. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe good people need to chase power so that they can change things. But I don't know. I'm just 1 to 7 billion here. Just throwing my views out there. My strange views. Or maybe not so strange. I don't know. Excuse me. It'd be awesome if in my time, in my life, I could see things change for the better. To see North Korea go from a brutal dictatorship to a free society where people aren't starving, where people aren't, you know, dragged out into a field and shot by a firing squad for trying to sell goods so that their families could eat. A place where people aren't run over by tanks because they made some decision that some other human being found threatening when it really wasn't. I just think feel like it's selfish to be happy. I feel like it's selfish to be happy when there's all this fucking suffering around here and we can just close our eyes to it, let those people suffer and make our goods and ignore it like it's not real. Like those tears don't matter. Like those tears, like those lives, that starvation, that suffering isn't there. I think it's wrong. I think I can be happy when there's no more of that shit in the world. And if that means I'll be forever unhappy, then so be it. I'm 1 in 7 billion. I can afford to be unhappy. There's this line in this song I heard. It was something along the lines. It said something pretty atheist. It was or pretty anti-religious. It was talking about heaven and hell, and it was something along the lines of, "I'd rather burn with my own people." You know, as in burn with my own people in hell. And in a way, I kind of course, I don't believe in hell. I don't think that's real. I'm not religious, but if that's the case, I mean, if the if suffering people are just doomed to hell just because of the circumstances they've been put in, then do you take the selfish way out? Do you go to heaven, or do you stick with your people and try to find a better way for them? Of course, not in the context of heaven and hell, but if your fellow human is suffering, no fault of themselves, if they're just in a position where they suffer, shouldn't you at least try to help them? I don't know. I think I know I'm oversimplifying things, but can't fucking be listening to TikTok or playing around on TikTok if I know that, hey, those are the that's the same place where all this suffering is going on at. And in some way, the people who are making others suffer are throwing this product at me to influence me, to have some higher control. Then, that's an easy no brainer. I'm not going to fuck with that shit. Does that mean I should throw my mic in the trash can? Does that mean I should burn my monitor? Does that mean I should take this audio box and fucking go shoot it? I hope not. I hope that maybe with these tools that were built with this suffering, maybe I can do more good than I do harm by purchasing them. But that's a nice thought. It just man, those people out there, just people starving in the world, people getting fucking chopped up to bits by fucking machetes, people being shot like dogs. I think people should see that. I think people should see it so that they can feel something. So that they can look at that audio box or that mic or that microwave or that TV, whatever it may be. And I'm not just talking about, not just China, anywhere in the world. Like, I smoke weed, and I hope my weed comes from Cali or Colorado. Most of the time, it does. I try not to buy from people who I don't know where it comes from. I don't want my, $60 to be the $60 that bought the machete that chopped somebody's head off. And I think we do have to think of it like that. But I'm only one of 7 billion. But at least I can try. Give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen, right? Shit, well, fuck, the worst that can happen is I end up suffering like those people that I'm talking about. But they've been doing it for longer than me anyway. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Why has this been going on for so long? Like, why is it, I guess it seems like it's almost our our curse to kill and maim each other, to hate each other. Like I was listening to something on Netflix about the Tutsis and the Hotel Rwanda, or the just the genocide in Rwanda. And I thought, man, they killed all those people, and those people were just like them. There's no difference. Not really. But I guess that's human, huh? We seem to do it over and over again. It seems to never stop. Just over and over and over again. But I think maybe we need to see what we do to each other. Hopefully it doesn't harden our hearts. Hopefully it disgusts us. Hopefully it makes us sick. Makes us angry. And hopefully that causes us to change. Because I don't know how much longer our species can persist with this kind of suffering. But I haven't been here very long. I'm not even 30 yet. But man, what I see now with my adult eyes is it's pretty sad. And the saddest part of it to me is that we're all complicit in it, that it's okay. We should all be out in the streets right now. We should all be angry about all this evil shit going on in the world. But we've got food and water, so we accept it. We accept that the suffering is somewhere else. And we just go on about our day because we see our lives as too precious, maybe. Maybe we see our lives as too precious to commit to making a change, because that change is going to lead to unknown consequences. I don't know. I think it's fucked up. And I don't know what to do to fix it. I don't know what to do to present some real change in this world. You know, you start off as a kid, or at least I did, and I don't know if some of you were born adults. I'm just joking. But just you start off as a kid, and your dreams are so big and grand. You wanna create world peace. You wanna give people hope. You wanna make everything better and everything good. Where does that come from? That seems to be the default. For most people, I think. How do we go from that to murdering, millions of people? How do you go from some kid in China who just loves his family, and I don't know, you're just living your life, to beating the shit out of somebody because they believe in something that someone told you was bad, to starving someone, to raping someone, to murdering someone. I don't know, but I hope that one day we figure out how to stop it, because it's hard to look around my room and wonder which one of these things is made by somebody who is in a labor camp? Which one of these things was made by somebody who is starving to death and getting beaten? Is it this mic? Is it the audio box? Is it my keyboard? Is it my mouse? What the fuck am I supporting by buying this shit? What the fuck am I doing by putting this shit out there into the world? I don't fucking know. But hey, I watched that Netflix documentary and I figured if some guy got people to kill, over 1 million people just by talking to them on the radio, maybe if I can talk to fucking 10 people or 100 people out there in the world somewhere, maybe I can make a positive change. Maybe I can encourage someone to set those people free. Maybe I could stop somebody from starving. Hell, I can barely stop myself from starving. So, yeah, there's that. But I'm not starving, not yet. But yeah, I wonder. Also wonder the inverse. Hopefully I don't cause any suffering, which is why I'm so eager to say, hey, maybe don't burn this shit down. Maybe there's a better way forward. Maybe if we all get up and walk into the streets, maybe if we all go outside and say, hey, we're tired of this shit. This is the change we want, and we want it fucking yesterday. Maybe that'll cause some changes. I hope they do that in China. But at the same time, if they did that in China, it probably people would probably die. But at the same time, who's to say more people wouldn't die if they didn't do that? I don't know if a lot of people have seen the footage of Tiananmen Square, which the Chinese government says nothing happened that day. Nothing happened that day in the Tiananmen Square. But I've seen the pictures. I've seen the pictures of what it looks like when a human being gets run over by a tank. When people get shot to bits and pieces. And I used to be afraid to talk about the Chinese Communist Party on the internet, and I live in fucking America. But why should I be afraid? The worst thing you can lose is your life. Well, actually, there's probably worse things out there than that, but I don't think I don't think I'm the laying down and taking shit passively kind of person. So I'm gonna say what the fuck I mean. Why should I fucking sit down and stand for that? It's an evil regime. And again, not the Chinese people, just the government is evil. But I think I've said that on like every fucking podcast. Yeah, fuck the Chinese Communist Party. I wish they'd just give their people freedom. Then they lose their precious power. Jeez, we need some fucking aliens. But then I think, if they really are a thing, They sure haven't given a fuck about our suffering here. That's not a good sign. But who knows? Who knows what'll happen? But I'm supposed to only do like one podcast a week, and this week I ended up doing two. I'll probably end up doing three. Hell, I think I'll. I don't know how long I've been recording, but I mean it's 5 in the morning. I'm about to. I'm not gonna lie. Ironically, I'm about to play a game where you shoot other people, but better people do it in a video game than in real life. So maybe that makes me a bit hypocritical. Maybe that's the theme of this podcast is being hypocritical. I said all this shit. Excuse me. I said all this shit on a mic that supported, by somebody purchasing it, by us purchasing it. A mic that I would guess was made in China. Hell, my clothes might be made in China. I don't know. Almost everything I buy is cheap, so maybe I'm a hypocrite. But guess it's better to be a hypocrite that at least tries to do something positive than just a hypocrite that does nothing at all. Yeah, I don't know, but I'm gonna go ahead and hell, I'm one in 7 billion people. I can my podcast can be as disjointed as I want to be. Nobody's paying attention to this shit. I don't mind though. But hey, if you're listening, well, shit, I don't know what to say. Do something positive. Maybe think about those people out there suffering. Maybe find something you can do to help. Yeah, I'm not so sure what to do myself, but hell, if you find out what to do, shit, let me know. But until then, good luck, and I wish you well. And if you happen to be one of those people out there suffering, I love you, and I wish you well. I wish you the best. I hope things get better.